back, everybody. We got 2 in a row with the guys from It's Not the Ref and For Fans Talk Sports. We got Rolly, we got Clark, we got Brian. We're going to talk about the Arizona Coyotes and whatever that situation is. And then we'll talk about the Final Four in the NHL playoffs, make some predictions and go with that. So our most knowledgeable person, probably on any given show that we do, is Clark, but no, giving you extra credit there, Clark. But for sure on Arizona, he went out there, he checked out the Mullet Arena earlier this year, the 5,000 seat Mullet Arena that the Arizona Coyotes were playing in. Clark, what's the situation in Arizona?
So it's real easy to jump in and say, hey, I mean, this was their last chance. They lost lost the election in Tempe. They're not getting their new arena. They're done. What else can they do? The thing is, there are things that they can do. It's difficult to hear that sometimes because I think we're all tired of hearing about the freaking Arizona Coyotes. This has been going on for 15 years. Going back to watching Glendale City Council meetings and all those things. And it does feel like any other team, the plug would have been pulled by now. The difference that I think we lose track of a lot, and I've talked about this before, is that every team that has relocated in the past has either, has had an owner that wanted to relocate them. That I was going to say either had an owner that didn't want them anymore, or an owner that wanted to relocate them, but you usually get to the new owner before the relocation happens. So they've had an owner that wanted to relocate them. That's what happened when True North bought the Atlanta Thrashers. That's what happened when ComSat bought the Quebec Nordiques. That's how that happens. Alex Morello does not want to move the Arizona Coyotes. He does not want to sell the Arizona Coyotes. So as long as he owns this team, he is going to try everything to keep them there. And we had the new thing come out today that they're looking at buying property or redeveloping property that was an abandoned mall in Mesa, Arizona, that looks like a good spot too. And there are going to be these things where until they build an arena or move, we're gonna keep hearing about new possible locations. And that's where things stand and will stand.
So they're staying in Arizona.
I think they will. I think they will find a way to make it work. Morello wants to make it work. I think he is running out of time. I think if they can't get a deal done with Mesa or wherever in the next several months, then the rest of the league may start hinting, hey, this isn't going to work anymore. We're gonna do something to incentivize you to do something.
If they had built in Tempe, Clark, how long it was going to take? A couple of years, or they were committed to stay at Mullet for at least a year.
They've got a 3-year deal with an option for a fourth at ASU, and obviously they just played the first year there.
Yeah.
So if they are able to pull out a deal for a different arena quickly, which it's worth noting that even a deal in Mesa would be subject to a vote and whatever happens there. So this is not something that they can just like sign a deal overnight with the Mesa City Council or whatever. But if they can pull something together quickly, then they could still do that within the original terms of their agreement with ASU. It's also probably worth noting that my understanding of the election that just happened in Tempe that happened because they were trying to do things quickly. There was another way that they could have done it that wouldn't have, or that wouldn't have automatically led to an election.
Yeah.
They could have done something where someone would have to step up to oppose them, and then that would have forced the election. They thought they were going to win that election, so they said, bring it on and let's get it over with quickly. And that's how we got here.
So
They did.
why is the NHL just committed to that area? Is it because it's the Southwest and they just want to stay there?
It's a huge market.
Yeah.
The Phoenix metro area is like the 6th largest market in the United States or something like that. It's real easy for us to look at things and say, oh, they're not selling out their arena. An arena in Quebec would sell out, so that means more money. But we don't know how much does a team in Quebec impact the Canadian TV deal versus how much does a team or does losing a team in Phoenix affect the American TV deal. And that part of the economy of it all, we don't know those numbers. It's real hard. It's real hard to know that. The league knows those numbers. The league clearly thinks there is more money to be had for the league with a team in Arizona. And I've always said the league is in the business of making money, not in putting teams where fans, quote unquote, deserve it. And I think that's a horrible way of putting it anyway, but
They are gonna play in Mullet. I had it up on the screen for a bit. They are gonna play in the Mullet Arena for next season.
Yeah,
But
they were
that isn't what caught me in that statement. It was this. In addition, we remain committed to Arizona and have already started re-engaging with local officials and sites to solidify a new permanent home in the valley. We look forward to sharing more with you. So it's like, we're not going anywhere. We're staying in Arizona. Sorry, Houston. Sorry,
They're not
Quebec.
Relocate to Houston, because that's what do you call that? If they bring anything, it'll be a new team and they have to pay huge bucks, right?
Yep. I think the NHL would love to save Houston and the potential new arena in Atlanta for expansion. I think that they're looking at that and saying, hey, we got $650 million from Seattle for expansion. If we wait X number of years down the road, we might be able to get 750, 800 from these cities.
I can't deal with another team in Atlanta.
So I'm gonna go on that. I'm going to go on that one a bit, because Atlanta is a weird case. The Thrashers, I should say, are a weird case because they moved to Winnipeg because their owners didn't want them anymore. And they specifically, Atlanta Spirit had a whole conflict in their ownership group, and one group won out, and they were the group that didn't want hockey. So they said to the NHL, we don't want this team anymore. And since we control what was then called Phillips Arena, we're not even going to let them play here anymore. And unlike the Phoenix market, where conveniently there was a 5,000 seat college rink about to open, there wasn't anywhere that the Thrashers could have played other than Phillips Arena. So even if there had been a local owner, that team was hosed. And so, hey, conveniently, there was an ownership group that was waiting for the Coyotes to fail in Winnipeg, and the NHL could go to them and say, you're not getting the Coyotes, you're getting the Thrashers, and off they go. The Thrashers were drawing, or the Thrashers over their existence drew 16,000 and change on average, which is not great, but is not the flies that we imply. We're like, oh man, nobody liked the Atlanta Thrashers. 16,000 was not horrible. 16,000 outdrew the Quebec Nordiques. The Quebec Nordiques over their time drew 14,000. Lake Havasu only held 15,000, but they never averaged a sellout over a single year. So it doesn't seem like there was a cap there. and no, 16,000 isn't great either, but it's also just, we think of the Thrashers and we think of the Coyotes as drawing flies, and they actually draw comparable with some other teams that we think of saying like, oh, well, those were beloved teams that were torn from their communities.
You know what, the whole Atlanta thing, the Atlanta Flames went to Calgary, and then the Atlanta Thrashers went to Winnipeg. So this is really the road to Quebec. So the Atlanta, whatever they are, will
I
eventually
said that
become
on this
Quebec
show
Canadiens.
a while ago.
So maybe you're right. Now look at from an attendance perspective, here's something interesting. If you take out the Arizona Coyotes, who were playing in a 5,000 arena, drawing an average of 4,600 fans, the Winnipeg Jets had the second lowest attendance last season at 14,045.
They also play in the next smallest arena.
Second, but it's not a sellout. It's not a sellout. So
No, it wasn't. And there has been talk from Winnipeg's ownership and Winnipeg's organization saying, kind of giving the fans the hint of like, hey, you better keep supporting us. Or something might happen.
yeah, a la Minnesota North Stars of old or whatever. I don't, you know what, guys, I don't know, like the whole Arizona thing for me, you're right, Clark. I think that you're right that I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of Arizona. I don't care about them. I don't care about you saw the debacle that it was at the trade deadline with them from a players and the cap and what was going on there. Just it's a disaster. It's a disaster of a hockey club. It's a disaster of a situation. To me, everything you say makes sense from a financial perspective. Like I get it, right? But it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to the NHL. It's an embarrassment to the league and the brand. It's an embarrassment. So I don't care how much money you're making. You got it.
We've talked about it before, though, that teams are allowed to be embarrassments. That the Chicago Blackhawks have done things that make them an embarrassment.
Kind of
the Montreal
embarrassment.
Canadiens have done things that make them an embarrassment. The Detroit Red Wings
Yeah.
have done things that make them an embarrassment. If
And
embarrassing the
leagues have done
league
enough to
was
make them
against
an
the
embarrassment.
rules, there would be no teams.
Yeah, we'd get into variations of what that means. I think from just the visible perception, you look at where the Coyotes are playing and what's going on there, and it's like even online, like and the regular folks, right? We're not looking at it and going, oh well, it's a money thing. We're emotional. We're it's sports. It's hockey. We want to see, our sport thrive. We want to see like the rivalries and. There's no rivalry with
what's
Arizona.
funny is the juxtaposition of everything that's going on with Arizona and all the bad news, and then look at Ottawa, and you got rock stars and hip hop stars and movie stars all fighting to take over that team.
Yeah,
like what a contrast in two teams, right?
Yeah. So I don't know, guys. The Arizona thing is kind of a weird one. I think on the call from Clark is, look, it makes sense from a financial perspective, and we all know that. But the flip side of it from a fan perspective is it sucks, and we're tired of it, and it looks bad on the NHL. We're in the final four of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Did anybody think we would be looking at suntan states? That the Stanley Cup would be getting a suntan no matter where it's going. We got Dallas, we got the Golden Knights, you got Florida, and you got the Hurricanes.
Look at those hockey pools are all flipped upside down on their ear.
Yeah,
it's the worst. It's the worst bracket or playoff pool I've run in years.
That's crazy.
I didn't pick any. Yeah, nope,
None.
I think Guido, you might remember better than I do. I think I picked Dallas out of the West.
You might have.
I think that was my coin flip pick. That
it
like,
was your
Dallas, I guess.
Yeah, and they did it. They did it without Robertson really kind of doing much, right? Like, who are you picking to come out? Dallas and Vegas. Who you guys picking?
I guess I got to stick with Dallas.
I'll go big.
Flip the coin. No, you already did. Now I'm picking Vegas. I like Vegas.
I'm going Vegas too.
Oh man.
Jesus, we were this close from a potential Vegas Kraken. Hey, how about those Kraken? They almost made it.
Almost. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's another
Good point.
story. That's another story. What they're in this is their second year in the league.
Yeah,
They make the second round just like the Leafs after 20.
yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like, like you just never know what you got in a team. But what is going, they don't have a superstar. None of the 4 teams right now have a player that's making more than $10 million.
What's the chick making? He's gonna, if he isn't making it, he will be.
Not over.
Yeah, he's making 10 even right now. So
Yeah.
so you can
not
say
over 10.
not over 10. Yeah.
At 10, but okay, fine. Right.
I'd put him at an elite player. Good to Chuck.
Okay. Even if I concede 1 at 10, guys, that's incredible. Given what we've seen as like the superstars and all these other things, right? I think Vegas and Dallas, I want to go with Ottinger, but what I saw from him in the last series, I think he's good, but I don't know that he can pull it off against this Vegas team. So I'm gonna go Vegas. I'm gonna go Vegas over Dallas. I might not want Vegas to win, but I think it's gonna be Vegas. And then on the other side, we got the Jerks in Carolina, and you got the Panthers. What's the call?
I'm going with the Jerks from Carolina.
You just saying that on purpose. You're just going with them because of KK.
They're gonna win, and he's gonna score the winning goal.
No, you know what? You're gonna
get the first meme.
See, that's what it is. You don't really think they're gonna do it. You want them to do it, but you.
Carolina's gonna do it.
All right.
I want to come back to your comment on superstars in a minute.
Okay. Roll Carolina and Panthers.
I got Carolina too. I think the Panthers have run their course. Carolina has a good team. They got a good D and good forwards too. And ex-Leaf there, Freddie Anderson.
Freddie in net. Yep.
Yeah. So I think Carolina is going to win that series.
Well, I wish the Leafs had a good goalie like that. Clark.
Oh, I don't want to have to choose between those two. I really I really don't. But it's the playoffs, and you usually go as far as your goalie can take you. And I'm going to go with Bobrovsky on that one then, and say Florida.
We're gonna agree. I'm with you. In fact, I'm going with Florida over Carolina, and then I'm going Florida to take the cup.
Oof.
Look it. They beat the Boston Bruins. Okay. They beat the Toronto. They beat the number 1 and 2 seeds in the conference there. So they are the underdog. Who says they can't? You look at the way that Florida's playing, they're choking teams out. If you want to run and gun with them, they'll do it. They'll play it, but they're choking teams out. It's a relentless forecheck that they have. Absolutely choking and relentless. They clog up the neutral zone. They hang around, and even when they're losing, they hang around and hang around. They wear you down and hang around. They wear themselves down a little bit by the third period. You could start to see, but out of the 4 teams remaining, they are the most boringly exciting, wearing down team of the 4, where I go, they're just going to hang around. I just got this feeling about them.
I think Carolina has the D though to stop that forecheck, to move the puck quickly. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah, I'm going Carolina for the cup.
Wow. Are you ready to make a cup call?
No, I'm not.
Come on.
No, not a chance.
No.
Come on. We can't be split on this. Jeez. You know what? Here's the thing. This is our second episode that we've done. And there's one thing that I'm noticing here in our opinions and our beliefs on stuff, is that we are consistent in our inconsistencies. So we've got situations where Clark and I agree, or Brian and I agree, or Brian and Clark agree, or Rolly and Guido. We're all over the map. Like usually we align on something and you know, it's all over just like the NHL. We're all over the place, guys.
Wait, I'm gonna say Carolina's gonna win the cup, and the cup is spelled KKUP.
That's it.
Carolina wins the cup and he celebrates with his shirt off and something that offends you.
Hey, listen, you made a comment, Gweed, that I wanted to come back to.
Yeah,
'cause it's
what?
poignant. And when you were talking about the 4 remaining teams don't have superstars, or like don't have anyone.
Hey, it's the pay scale.
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it reminded me, and I've seen it several times. One of my favorite movies, and it's Miracle. It's the story of the Miracle on Ice in '80 and Herb Brooks. And I remember the most poignant thing in that was when they were doing the selection camp, and all the GMs are going, well, how come you're not taking my stars and you're not? And he's going, if I build a team that's all superstars, they're not going to gel. I want guys that all play well together. And he ended up picking the grinders and pluggers and stuff from college and a few NHL guys. And he built a team that ended up defeating the Russians. They beat everyone. They won the Olympics in '80, right?
Yeah.
And it was just, he bypassed what everyone thought, all the players that everyone thought he should take, who were the superstars, right? It's just, it's really poignant in that it's the makeup of the team and whatever grit and whatever they need to do to win. And that's what ends up coming out in the playoffs, right? We've seen it before with underdogs, and teams just gel and they got the right components to get it done against superstars.
Well, look at Seattle. We just talked about Seattle. Look at Seattle.
Yeah. Like that's what made me think of it, right? Like it's just finding those components that work together and know what needs to be done, and they get it done.
Yeah.
And we talked last episode about what the Maple Leafs could do, and I think you look at the Panthers, and they did what the Leafs need to do. The Panthers had a great team last year and did nothing in the playoffs, and they turned around and flipped Jonathan Huberdeau, who in a vacuum, why would you ever trade that guy? But they had the opportunity to get Tkachuk, and they didn't shy away from it. So that's the kind of thing the Leafs need to look at, that if there is an opportunity, then absolutely you move one of their core 4, you make the big splash, you take that chance. And it looked like it was horrible for Florida. All regular season, they barely made the playoffs, but it has paid off now.
Yeah, and that's why I say don't blow up Toronto. Like if you really want to see them win, don't blow up Toronto. Just look at what's going on, because even Florida, that's a great example. President's Choice winners last year get booted out of the playoffs early. But look at this year, they come back and they're a little bit of a different team. They're doing something different. Maybe that's where, if things could be normal in Toronto, just try to stay the core.
You don't give those players away either, right? You're not going to give a Mitch Marner away for nothing, or a Nylander you got to get value in return. Like
Absolutely.
But different. It'll be different value.
Calgary felt the same way. It's like, wow, we're getting Huberdeau. Yeah, we're good with that. Florida's, hey, we're good with Tkachuk. Was
the Maple Leafs
will be better
because those guys didn't want to play. They didn't want to play anymore, right?
Yeah.
There are some Maple Leaf fans that are ready to trade Bunting to get Bedard back. So I mean, that's always out there. Like,
you're gonna have to throw in a third to even that out,
right? And something, and to be determined later. Condition to be determined later. We can't forget that. And we didn't talk about Bedard and whether here's a hot one. Do the Chicago Blackhawks deserve Connor Bedard? Do we have enough time to even talk about that? Because I know what you guys are all going to say.
I didn't like.
He should be disqualified from getting Bedard, right, Brian?
Well, I wasn't happy about the way it panned out, but it's the luck of the lottery, and they won it.
Rolly, they shouldn't be allowed to get Bedard, right?
I don't know. I watched the draft, and it's like everything went, according to standing up to the third pick, and then it kind of blew up at the end. Or they kind of showed it. Something was wrong with the broadcast too, because before they even announced that they already had dropped Columbus down.
They put the graphic up.
Yeah, it's like, what was that? And that's where conspiracy theories started, right? But it's just, I didn't care for it. Yeah, I didn't want Chicago to get the first pick.
Clark, you shook your head at it.
I'm just glad to see such a long-suffering franchise rewarded by lottery luck.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Taves and Kane, and
They've been gone for like a few weeks. What a horrible time for their fans.
Right? Because what happened to the Wings? The Wings were waiting there for first overall pick and didn't get it. They dropped.
Anaheim.
Anaheim.
I was hoping that somebody like a Columbus or an Ottawa or somebody like in one of those markets was going to get that generational franchise player.
Yeah, I was hoping Anaheim. I was hoping the Ducks would have got him.
Too far for me. Anaheim's just way out there, too far. And I was hoping for, something a little closer and something.
We were hoping on the fifth pick that it was
the fifth pick would have bumped up to number 1.
Yeah, that's what you guys were hoping.
And I'm all right with whatever they do. They're a long ways from making things.
But it is sad. It is sad that he's going to a franchise that's got all the
baggage.
Got a bit of a baggage and a bit of a cloud hanging around it, and basically, we're always talking about don't blow up the team. Chicago took a detonator and blew their team to smithereens. Right?
Yeah. There's baggage there. So
yeah,
all right, guys, we went into an extra thing on Connor Bedard in the draft there. I think the theme of our calls here today is we're on the split, but we're staying in place when it comes to Arizona. Take care, guys. We'll talk again.
Hey, Gui, 2 minutes for looking so good.